Welcome back to the MA Chidambaram Stadium in Chepauk, Chennai, where England are about to continue their first innings, their reply to India's 329, and bowling the first over after lunch will be Akshar Patel, the left-arm spinner, who has 1 for 9 from 5 overs. England 39 for 4, with Ben Stokes unbeaten at the lunch break, being joined by Ollie Pope. Ollie Pope's at the non-striker's end. Ben Stokes is on strike at the moment. 8 not out from 16 balls. And Akshar Patel has 3 men on the leg side boundary and 3 men around the bat. And first delivery is punched off the back foot towards the bowler, who does his own fielding. So really interesting field. I'll get Gareth Batty to comment on it in just a second. But so basically he's saying to Ben Stokes, you can slog sweep, you can take me on, but I've got 3 men on the boundary for that, and if you defend me, I've got 3 men round the bat. It's known as an in-out field. That's punched off the back foot and to the covers by Ben Stokes. Super shot, actually. He's played against the spin. It was just short enough to allow him to go onto the back foot and punch it through the offside for a couple. 41 for 4.
Yeah, the old school saying will be block slog. So if you defend and I bowl a good ball, I'm keeping my catchers in, but you're not just going to get a free swipe to hit me into the outfield. Like Ben Stokes said in the first innings of the first test, it was dangerous in that rough. I had to take him on. I had to take some calculated risk. Brilliant field setting.
Here is Patel once again. Stokes, lovely piece of batting again. It's counter-attacking in a sense that he's taking a calculated risk by stepping away, exposing his stumps and pushing, because that's where the gaps are. So he's going to counter-attack by taking lots of singles. Hello, Goffey.
Hello, mate. Well, he's got to, hasn't he? I think he's got to take risks here. It's a very difficult situation to be batting in. 42, is it, for 4 now? Very, very difficult. And there's going to be fielders around the bat. There's going to be fielders for Ben Stokes on the boundary. But he's got to find a way to keep the score rotating.
Ollie Pope's first delivery of the innings. Here is Patel, a little bit of width, and he tries to cut and he gets a bottom edge and he chops it down just past his off stump. Nervy moment for Ollie Pope in his first delivery. Nervy moment. Akshar Patel gets through his overs quicker than almost anybody that I've ever seen. Here he is once again, turn and bounce, and Ollie Pope, well, he's like a man playing that with a white stick. He had no idea about that.
Give him a chance. It turned 2 foot and bounced over his head. It's a beautiful piece of bowling from Akshar Patel. Angled into just about off stump. Ollie Pope holds his line. That's the key to it. Holds his line.
It wasn't a criticism of Ollie Pope at all. Oh, and that one is played again off the back foot. Much quicker delivery, and Ollie Pope looking to play it through the offside, struck on the pad outside the line of off stump.
I was going to ask you, Gareth, does it make it more difficult with Patel, that angle he comes from, wide of the crease, lowish arm, slanting into the right-hander, and then he gets that vicious turn? That makes it even harder to play, doesn't it, surely?
Yeah, I mean, the greater degree of angle in towards the stumps, the harder for a batter, because you're challenging both edges with that angle. Because he's tall, because he's direct, it's even harder. You've got to be tracking, you've got to pick the line and length so quickly. And the skill is to get middle of the bat, line it up middle of the bat. If it doesn't spin, he's challenging your inside edge. If it does spin, well, in this occasion, he's missing it by 2 foot. And I think what we said pre the break with Matty Price, sometimes you've just got to accept you're going to get done on the outside if the ball's spinning away.
Ravi Ashwin to continue now. It's so difficult. That one that turned a foot and bounced, that's just destroyed the pitch where it's landed. I mean, it was not a puff of dust. I mean, that's just like a small explosion. The next one, here is Ashwin, bowls, Ben Stokes forward, drives it up towards mid-off. The next one's hit a piece of the pitch, an area of the pitch that's not disturbed, and has virtually skidded straight on.
It's like Goffey's bowled 30 overs, got his wickets in the first innings, but he's run straight down the middle of the pitch. It's just rough everywhere.
Ashwin again nudged away by Ben Stokes for a single to mid-wicket. They go through for a single.
Nobody gets through an over as quick as Ashwin. I've never known anything like it.
Well, they're greedy, aren't they? I mean, they want to bowl in many balls as possible.
Spot on, mate. Who wouldn't? They got the wish anyway. This pitch is definitely turned from day one, from first hour.
And again, the in-out field for Ashwin. Bowling to Ollie Pope. Goes for the sweep, top edge, man out there. Oh, it drops short of him. Mayank Agarwal is the substitute fielder. And ooh, that was a nervy moment.
I'll tell you what it has done, Manners, as well. It's created a lot of debate on social media, hasn't it, about the pitch. I've never seen as many people talking about it, saying it's a disgrace. First ever test match. It shouldn't be taking a piece like it is.
Here is Ashwin again. Bowls, turns outside the off stump. It's left alone by Ben Stokes. Well, it's home ground, it's home ground advantage. And may I just say that the groundsman, here is Ashwin again, bowls to Stokes, forward playing defensively. The groundsman has had to prepare 2 pitches, and this one has had to sit in the hot sun for 8 days. He was only allowed to get his Ashwin again. It's a Karen ball, but it's a little bit too short, and it's pulled away for 4. Some relief for England. One delivery goes wrong in 10 overs for Ashwin, and it's pulled away for 4 by Ben Stokes. He's up to 16. So, you know, he was only able to give it a light watering at the end of the first Test match, and that's it. So it's going to be dry.
The problem is there's 329 reasons why it's not a bad pitch. That's a steady first innings score, and that's going to be the problem.
It's a great first innings score in any other country.
Ben Stokes 16, Ollie Pope has 1. I mean, 5 years ago, India went to real extremes. Here's Akshar Patel outside the off stump, left alone by Ollie Pope. They prepared 3 pitches worse than this against South Africa, and it was compelling to watch. Here is Patel once again, and it's swept by Ollie Pope and hasn't made good contact with it. Now to backward square leg, no run.
That series ruined my life because I had Dean Elgar on my shoulder saying I should be bowling. I've got a 5-for in a Test match. How did Dean Elgar get a 5-for in a Test match?
Well, exactly. There was no pitch. It was just rubble. Here is Akshar Patel. Forward comes Ollie Pope, nudges it on the leg side. England 48 for 4.
I think unless we make a dramatic recovery, it'll be interesting what they do moving forward. I know it's a day-night test, the next one, but India, they've seen the way England have played so far in this innings, 48 for 4, whether it will affect their preparation of the other pitches.
At Ahmedabad. Here is Akshar Patel once again, and defended by Ollie Pope, pushing it out to Shubman Gill at short leg. No run there. Well, the next test is a day-night test.
Yeah, it is, and we know what happens normally in day-night conditions, but...
Here is Akshar Patel, and Ollie Pope plays that off the back foot. Seems to be done slightly by length there.
We're talking about what happens in day-night conditions in New Zealand or in Australia or in England, where the ball swings around a bit, but will it do that in Indian conditions?
Here is Akshar Patel, and forward comes Ollie Pope, pushing it out towards cover, and Virat Kohli charges after it. They go through for another single. I don't know. How does the pink ball go in India?
It's the first one they've done, isn't it? I think
it's the first Test match. They've played 4 Ranji Trophy games under lights with the pink ball because they had to have some idea of how.
Well, I'm sure the statsmen will know about the result and what happened in those games. But they didn't play the last one too well, did they, in Australia? They were all out for 36, wasn't it?
It adds to the series, though, doesn't it? We've had a traditional flat one, first one. This is an absolute turning minefield. Third one, are the seamers going to come into it? It's a wonderful series. It really is.
Already. Exactly. We've got second day of the second test out of 4. That one is pushed away off the inside edge, past leg slip down towards deep backward square, and they go through for another single. There was a yelp of excitement from Rishabh Pant, but I think Ollie Pope was entirely in control of that, actually.
Well, he's like a jack in a box, though, since he's come to the crease, and I think they're going to be busy, aren't they, the England batsmen? I think they've realised it's going to be very difficult to stay in around with fielders around the bat. I think they're going to try and find a way to score, their own personal way of scoring.
Here is Ashwin again. Slower one, left alone by Ben Stokes, and it turns into the gloves of Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, I think Stokes will look a little bit more meticulous in his planning and his footwork. Ollie Pope, until he's got that 30 balls possibly under his belt, he'll be a little bit more scurrying about.
Ashwin to Stokes, defends, no run. 50 up for England, 50 for 4.
Just trying to get yourself up to speed with what's going on. Get sharpness of your feet. Get moving up and down the crease. Get into the game.
Here is Ashwin again, bowls Stokes forward, inside edge onto the pad, pops out on the offside, no run.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ollie Pope, since he's come to the crease, has been trying. He's looked a little bit nervous, a little bit edgy, rushing his shots, trying to sweep, trying to get bat and ball.
Here is Ashwin again, bowls sweep shot from Stokes, and he's played it very nicely indeed. Out to Kuldeep Yadav, who hasn't had a bowl yet. To deep backward square leg.
It won't be long, Manners, it won't be long. And I think with Ben Stokes, he's looked as though he's got his own personal plan. He's looking for areas of the pitch where he's going to try and score off. And I think it's the sweep shot which you've just seen him play. Even with men back, I still think he'll try and take them on, as Rishabh Pant does as well.
Here is Ashwin again. Down the wicket comes Pope down the pitch and plays it away defensively on the onside.
Just to expand on the point that you guys were making about the spinners, Axar getting through his over quickly and Ashwin then getting... You watch them, if England get a partnership, they won't be quite as quick through the overs. They're changing the gears, they're changing the momentum of the game, and at the minute they feel like they've got the foot on the throat of the England batters, so they're going to keep it on, they're going to rush them through, they're going to try and create a bit more havoc with them getting through their overs.
And it's exactly the question I was just about to ask you. How important is it, and how possible is it, for the England batsmen to slow things down themselves, give themselves some breathing time?
We saw Ollie Pope in the last over walk to square leg just to play with his gloves, just to say, look, you're not going to bowl this over in a minute, it's going to take you a minute and a half, pal. You do it on my terms.
So it is possible. Here is Akshar Patel, defended by Ben Stokes off the back foot.
But also very difficult, because you're under pressure.
Can the umpires say, hey, get on with it? Can they call a batsman and say, could you just bat? Come on, get on with it. Stop wasting time.
I think to an extent they can, can't they?
Well, not if they're over rates up to scratch.
Here is Akshar Patel again. Stokes edges and it falls short of Ajinkya Rahane at slip. Oh, that one just slid on, didn't it?
Yeah, beautiful bowling again. Axar Patel now operating around the wicket to Ben Stokes, so he's actually challenging that outside edge just with the natural angle to get it back to the stumps and then spin it back in for the pads and stumps.
Here is Akshar again. That one bounces and Ben Stokes pushes it down like a dog leaping up at him. He pushes it, has to shove it down, get its paws off.
Well, you don't want to go off and put the kettle on here, do you? You're going to miss something. Every single ball, something's happening.
Dear me. It's the bounce that makes it so difficult, low and high. Here's Patel once again. This one pops off the pad and is not caught at leg slip by Virat Kohli. I'm fairly sure it was off the pad. Virat Kohli slaps the ground in frustration, suggesting that was an inside edge onto the pad.
I think there might have been a tickle there, Manners. Really is.
Oh, I love it. It's like being up in the West End watching Virat Kohli, isn't it? It's like he's on stage and he's performing for the crowd that's in. Smacking the floor, should have caught that would have been out.
Just amazing to see every now and then how much of the pitch is disturbed when the ball lands. It's like a little mini explosion. Ben Stokes, well, he's taken a single that if it was a chance. Here comes Ollie Pope forward to the next one from Patel, pushing it up to cover, no run.
I'll tell you what, you won't want to be on a pair on this pitch, would you? Deteriorate. Virat Kohli's on a pair, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Here is Patel once more. Forward comes Ollie Pope, guiding it out towards extra.
You wouldn't know, would you, Bats? You were thinking, I'm going to go in there on third, fourth day and try and bat again, and I'm on a pair.
You know what it is, though? He's got the power on it. What's that TV show where they pull the power down? He's saying, no chance, get back in there, England. I ain't bagging a pair.
He could do that. He could do that.
Absolutely.
Just a reminder for those joining us for the first time through this Sunday morning. India lost their last 4 wickets for just 29 runs this morning. They're resuming at 300 for 6. They were bowled out for 329. Moeen Ali finished with 4 for 128 and Ollie Stone 3 for 47. But England in reply have crashed to 52 for 4 with Ollie Pope on 3, Ben Stokes on 18 Ashwin in to Ben Stokes, nudges it off the back foot towards mid-on, fielded by the bowler himself.
It said something about the way we bowl when we're talking about our best bowler in the match, probably being Ollie Stone, who's a seamer.
Ashwin once more tosses that one up and he's bowled Stokes. He gave it some air, he tossed it up, he doesn't give it air much, does our Ashwin, and he's done Ben Stokes with a beautiful delivery up above the eye line. He's beaten him for length, it's then spun between the bat and pad. Stokes is furious, crashes his bat into the ground as he makes his way off. England are 52 for 5.
Oh, Ben Stokes is furious with this. It's a fullish sort of a ball. He's opened himself up. He's almost opened up his right leg as if he wants to access the ball through the leg side. Unfortunately, that's opened up his hips and opened up the stumps, and this one crashes into off stump from Ashwin. He'll think he's got a fraction lucky there. It looks like it's brilliant bowling. I think Ben Stokes, from his reaction, he's absolutely furious about how he's gone about trying to access that ball. But again, the man, the great Ashwin, that's 3, and he's adding to his tally of wickets over and over again.
Well, it's just absolutely brilliant bowling from me, for Ashwin. Absolutely fantastic round the wicket, bowling it slanting into the left-hander. He's getting vicious turn. Yes, help from the pitch, obviously, but it turns and bowls him off stump. It brings Ben Foakes to the crease, who kept beautifully in the first 2 days of this Test match, and now he's got an opportunity with the bat. And to be fair, if he bats well, there'll be question marks moving forward this series as whether he keeps his place, because the way he kept was sensational. You can see why he got his opportunity with Josh Buttler obviously rested and going back home, but it's a difficult situation to be coming in when England is staring down the barrel here. 52 for 5, the ball's turning from both ends, and you're going to come in and face one of the best spinners in the world. Good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard from Darren Gough there was something for which he is not well known. Understatement. He just said it's a difficult situation for Ben Foakes to come into bat.
I didn't want to be too negative on it, man. I'm trying to keep some positivity about the day's play.
It's 52 for 5, and Ben Foakes, well, in a sense, Goffey, it's 52 for 5. Here is Ashwin again, bowls, and that's pushed away defensively out on the onside, and there's no run. I was just thinking, I mean, you know, how much pressure is there on him? Everyone else has had a terrible time.
Well, the only pressure that's on him, there it is.
Last orders.
The only pressure is but Johnny Bairstow's back in the squad for the next Test.
Pushed away by Ben Foakes out towards mid-wicket.
So the pressure is though, as well as he's kept, let's be honest about it, if he doesn't get runs, England will be panicking about runs being scored down the order, and it's a way to get Johnny Bairstow in. So there is a bit of pressure.
That's pushed away out by Ben Foakes to Shubman Gill at short leg. One of our colleagues on television, the former Indian spinner Murali Kartik, has just described the pitch as powder and pebbles. Here's Ashwin again, and that's defended nicely by Ben Foakes, pushing it out on the offside. Powder and pebbles on day 2. Here's Ashwin, beg your pardon, almost did me. Here is Ashwin. Forward comes Ben Foakes, guiding that one out square of the wicket on the offside.
You can't take your eye off these. When we're not at the ground, that becomes a very difficult situation.
Almost 53 for 5, 24 overs gone. Ollie Pope has 3. Ben Foakes is yet to get off the mark. Oh my goodness me! I mean, can you just? We're halfway through day 2. We're not even halfway through day 2. And the pitch is powder and pebbles, and England are 53 for 5. Is there a way back? There's always a way back in Test cricket, isn't there?
Slog it. That's the only way out of this. I mean, they've got to get as close as they can to England. We've seen with people trying to play defensive shots around the bat. You've got 2 excellent spinners. It's not going to be any harder by trying to play a few shots, surely.
Akshar Patel, and that's pushed out defensively by folks on the onside.
How would India play at this situation?
I know how Rishabh Pant would play.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Well, I guess calculated slogging rather than slogging. That's pushed away defensively by folks out on the onside. You know what I mean?
Obviously calculated slogging.
There's still got to be method to the outcome that you're looking for.
Here is Akshar Patel, and that one is cut nicely behind square on the offside. Super shot that from Ollie Pope. Just the tiniest little bit of width, and he maximises it by giving himself some room, just enough to cut it past point for 4.
Yeah, this is all about being busy from Ollie Pope. He's got that front foot press, he's pushing forward. Akshar Patel thinks, is he coming at me, is he not? He drops just back of a length. It's certainly not a wide cut ball, just outside off stump. Ollie Pope making all the depth of crease, all the time. Knocks it on the top of the head behind backward point for 4. Smart batting.
2 slips and a short leg. Akshar Patel in again, and forward comes Ollie Pope, leaning, stretching forward for that one.
I think because of the pace he bowls it as well, that's a good scoring shot for him. He bowls it really into the pitch at a good pace, and it'll sit up to cut, and Ollie Pope cashed in there.
Akshar Patel, and that's nudged away through square leg, just behind square, and they run through for a single. England still have Moeen Ali to come. I mean, what a player of spin he is as well. So they've got to keep believing there's a way back.
Were you surprised actually Moeen Ali didn't come in before Ben Foakes?
Well, that was the advertised order.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Mo's batted everywhere in the lineup pretty much, apart from 11, I think, isn't it? 10 or 11. That's about the only, and he should never bat there. But
1 to 9, I think he has. He has. But here's Akshar Patel once again. Last ball of the 25th over, and it's turned away for a single by Ben Foakes behind square on the leg side, and he's off the mark. Ben Foakes, that's his first run. 25 overs gone. England are 59 for 5 in reply to India's 329. More from Gareth Batty, and then it'll be Mark Nicholas for the next 20 minutes.
I think the way I would look at it, Goffey, is that Foakesy, because he's played a lot more red ball cricket, he could bat a long period of time, whereas Mo might actually take the game away from them in a more expressive manner. So actually him batting down the order is less of a problem, but Foakes maybe needs that little bit more time to accumulate a bigger score.
And Foakes in Sri Lanka played beautifully, didn't he, on his test debut? I mean, what a terrific knock, especially against the off spin. He's so good off his legs, isn't he, playing through to the leg side. But this will be a different test for him, Ashwin, who makes the ball go both ways, spins the ball both ways, so this will be a proper test.
Yes, it's difficult. It's not wholly impossible, but it's difficult. Ashwin with the one that goes the other way, exactly there as Foakes goes forward. Nice soft hands on the bat, so off the edge it doesn't carry to slip. It's very difficult when you first go in, which he's done. He has 1 from 7 balls. You just have to find a way, don't you? I mean, I like Ollie Pope's approach already, nimble on his feet. And back goes Foakes and defends again. The key is you have to have a plan. You have to be very strong in your mind. You have to have a plan. You have to stick to it. You have to have worked out where to score. Cutting the left arm spinner, for example, is a perfect example. Working the off spinner with the spin is another good example. A little bit more air from Ashwin that time, and there's a lot of noise behind the stumps as Foakes goes forward and pushes it pretty much back where it came from. Tall, slim guy, players as Goffey said, played very well in Sri Lanka, made an excellent 100 that had all the hallmarks as he goes forward and defends on the front foot. I think he's a tidy and well organised batsman, but of course this is a challenge beyond the norm of first-class cricket in any accepted conditions. These are very different conditions. Nice vibe in the ground today with more spectators than yesterday, and of course they've been very animated with the wickets that have been falling. It's a little shuffle down the pitch, and he made it, did Ollie Pope. It was a slightly delayed. They went for a run as the outside edge dropped to short third man, and I don't think even all the Indian players had realised they were running. It wasn't very conclusive calling, and by the time Ollie Pope had convinced folks to come, Ollie was okay and he made his ground. By a long way, as it happens, by half the width of the crease. Round the wicket comes Ashwin, and back goes Pope, who works it leg side. That's what I mean about nimble with the footwork. He got well back, he waited, he watched the ball closely, and he knocked it into a space for a single. So Surrey against India at the moment. 26 gone in terms of overs, 61 for 5. We've had 9 wickets today. India lost 4 for 29 this morning. The 29, other than one slash of a point from Mohammad Siraj, came from Rishabh Pant, who of course played some excellent strokes, but he finished unbeaten. And England have found the task of batting on this awkward surface against a good attack beyond them at the moment. But you know, there's a way to go, Gareth. As Akshar Patel comes in and bowls a nice line, and forward goes Pope, no run.
Ashwin, I think, for me, has been incredibly smart. He's bowled a lot more square spin, and sometimes he sits the seam back in his hand, so it sometimes hits the shiny or the rough side and skids on.
Again, Akshar, down comes Pope, and he's looking to work that leg side. He misses it, it hits his pad, but it's quite a long way. He's so quick on his feet, he would have got, I should think he's a yard and a half outside the popping crease there as he gets himself ready again, trying to bring as much energy to his play as he can. Akshar bowls again, and he plays a forward defensive stroke, nicely organised, and it goes out on the offside for no run.
So what he's actually trying to do is hold the batter on the outside edge, the right-handed batter, and not always spin the ball as much as we're expecting. And I think that's been his great skill.
Another forward defensive, but this runs leg side, and they get a run for it because there's no one in that gap. I want to develop that with you at the end of the over. I think it's a really interesting question and not easy for us average Joes to understand, so we'll go through that again. Pope 10 now, folks 2.
It's very difficult to get down and use your feet to Patel. He bowls it so quick.
Good bowler. Here he is again, and that actually has a little more flight up to Ben Folkes. And he pushes it back down the pitch towards Akshar, who's also tall, slim, almost thin man actually. Had his hair cut quite short at the moment. That carries on with the arm. Lovely bowling, hurries on, the old army. And Folkes played it okay. He's sort of inside edge in between his pads down onto the ground, but he's all right. 62 for 5. Let's just advance that. Why would a spinner want to spin it less?
Well, you basically, it's all about angles. So the batters try and counteract the spin by getting across to off stump and try and negate that spin back into them as a right-hander. So actually what he's doing is, I'm calling you bluff. I'm going to hold you still on the outside edge, so you moving across to off stump is still not changing, slip being a catching position because the ball's still running on. I'm just going to change my line fractionally. But actually then, when I do want to spin one from there, I'm still not far enough offside of the ball to bring in those sort of short leg and leg slip.
From round the wicket he bowls, and indeed the ball doesn't spin and is played comfortably by Ollie Pope. There's a slip, a leg slip and a short leg. I would have thought from round the wicket he would look to bowl more orthodox spinning off breaks. Here he is again, and that is one of those, and it lobs off bat and pad, but short of the short leg fielder. That's why you heard the
It's almost bowling easy. It's kind of, I'm not going to try too hard, I'm going to hold on a good length, hold on a good length. Now my big spinning ball takes the wicket.
Again he bowls, lobs it up high, and Pope is forward and plays it very nicely. Actually lets it come and sort of rides it, knocks it down into the ground, and it rolls to the leg slip. That's a lot of noise for a small crowd. There were 15,000 maximum allowed in this ground. Pope is back and works a back of the length ball to square leg for no run. There's certain stands, all the stands to the sides can be used, but not so much, not all the seats at either end of the ground. I don't know why that should be the case, but I suppose it might be something to do with coping with policing the social distancing and all that sort of thing. Ashwin again. Pity. It was a nice stroke that from Ben Stokes. He lent into a little clip through the onside, but he hit it sweep that picked out the man at short mid-wicket, which was annoying. Kohli is interacting with the crowd. They're waving at him, he's waving back at them. Back goes Folkes and defends on the back foot. Interesting over, well coped with by both these two impressive young batsmen. I think a lot of both of them. It's 63 for 5.
Just to let them know as well, if obviously people are listening back home or you're watching on TV, whatever your choice is, I think one of the most difficult thing is when you're batting as well, isn't it, Batsies? But if it's consistent spin and every ball's spinning, it's a lot easier to play. When some are going straight on and not spinning, it becomes a bit of a guesswork, doesn't it, for the batsman, and makes it more difficult.
Yeah, you can't predict, well, I'm going to play this shot and this shot is my percentage shot, because it might just not be spinning the same. So that's what I meant by getting across the stumps. It negates an amount of the method.
Well, that's well played. Again, it drops down into the gully. They all go Umanar, and that's Ollie Pope. Really, I mean, I don't want to put the cursor on him. 29 balls for 11. But he looks the part in such a difficult challenge here, and then again he looks the part. That ball bounces a bit more than the others, and on his forward defensive shot it hits his splice. So he's ridden one with the bounce and the turn away from him down into gully, and now met the other with a full blade and let it hit the splice. Not pushing too hard at the ball. Back he goes, looking to cut again, and does so. Doesn't pick out the man, so he gets a single without ever quite timing the shot. But that really needs to be a method. So every time you see the ball short, you've got to spring back and try to cash in on it through the offside gap. 64 for 5. The slow drip of response at the moment from England. Well, they ask for LBW, but I think it's sliding down leg side. Folks misses the ball. It hits his pad full on. It does bounce out onto the offside. The question Kohli's saying is, did it spin? If it didn't spin and it straightened, it could be out, so we'll review it. If it didn't spin much, it's missing leg stump. Okay, so one of them, with 1 second left, said it held its line, so they're going to review it.
Oh, that's amazing. The problem is when you've got the young, energetic Rishabh Pant behind the stumps, he seems to get so excited, he can't give him an absolute honest answer whether he thinks he's hitting or not. And Virat Kohli just like, no idea in the end.
It's very close, I warn you. It's very close. It might even be out. It's a good review. So,
High?
well, height maybe. It's probably hitting middle and leg. But you play forward to a left-arm spinner. If he's an accurate bowler, it only has to hold its line. It doesn't even have to spin dramatically. They're checking it hasn't hit Folkes' outside edge, which it certainly hasn't. It's hit quite high, just above the very top bit of the roll. Could it go over?
Tall bowler. Could just be an umpire's decision. Original was not out.
Missing.
What?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we'd have thought the minute it hit him. So that's good, because Virender Sharma's initial decision stands, so Folkes is fine. It doesn't either spin enough or stay low enough, and therefore Folkes perfectly reasonably survives. Kohli will be cross because he doesn't received the best information from his intelligence from his men around him, and that's a forward defensive, nicely done. Rolls out leg side, single taken. This Surrey pair trying to keep the score ticking, you know, the scoreboard moving, but key is rotate the strike so the spinner doesn't settle to one batsman. Pope has 12, Folkes has 3. It's 65 for 5. Played, beautifully played. That was fine batting, nice and soft. He came well forward, did Pope, and leant all over a full ball, a wide full ball, and dropped it into the space on the offside as Gareth Batty has a little break. So Matt Pryor comes into the seat, a man who's done this sort of thing often in India.
Yeah, Mark, I'm with you. I don't want to put the mockers on them, but these two look good, don't they? I think Pope in particular, I like his game plan to the spinners. They seem calm in a situation that is anything but calm. They seem to have just gained some control. Playing straight, you have to play straight. When the ball is bouncing and spinning, you have to play straight.
Ashwin now to bowl a good off break. Oh, and it gets so much underspin, backspin from the forward defensive stroke from Ollie Pope that it spins back into Rishabh Pant's gloves and misses the stumps only by a fraction. There was a lot of oohing and ahhing there. Pope's ready again. You've got to be ready. Ashwin's pretty quick in his overs. He goes a little wider this time, and off the back foot Pope plays it beautifully out on the offside, but for no run. Very electric out in the middle there. That's an attempted sweep stroke. But of course, with Ashwin's bounce, it's extra bounce. It's not that easy to sweep. I'm not sure that didn't go from glove to helmet. Actually, he might have hit the visor of the helmet. Yeah, I think it did. Just seen the TV replay, and I think it did. Down comes Pope, beautiful, gets near the ball and defends as Rohit Sharma did in his innings. Well, of course, there are no bad balls to feast from. Ashwin is consistent, accurate, plenty of overspin, but hits the splice hard and reminds you that he's there. There's one of them. That's a good example of it too. Hurrying Ollie Pope, who was trapped in front of all three if he missed that, but he didn't miss it. Worked it leg side, marks his ground again. Little daubs of sun cream on his cheeks. There'd be a bit of sweat dripping down too. He tries to drive, doesn't quite get it, and it's a wristy sort of drive from a full ball that goes to mid-off for no run. End of that over. 66 for 5 in response to India's total of 329. They were bowled out this morning. 2 wickets going to Moeen Ali, one a lovely flighted off break that got a stumping, the other a full toss that was chipped to mid-wicket. And then Ollie Stone, who picked up the final 2, nicks through the wicket-keeper.
We talked yesterday about pressure and being able to build pressure as a bowling attack. So far, after 30 overs, or yesterday after 30 overs, India had 17 boundaries. England, at the same time, 5 boundaries. And yes, you're comparing different levels of spin, etc., but it's building pressure.
Run there into the leg side. Just a little drop into the space. Plenty of spaces. That's one thing about spin. When you've got 3 round the bat and a couple back, there are spaces for singles. So you just have to keep the bad one out. Just focus on the precise technique, and then the odd opportunity will surely come. Akshar Patel now. Oh, what a ball that is. That really is a difficult ball to play. In fact, I've no idea how you play it. The wicketkeeper could neither take it. It spun and bounced so much away from Pope, he had no chance.
Yeah, but you just do what Ollie Pope has done. He's sort of had a little wry smile, nodded, say, well bowled, but I'm still here, and play the next ball.
And now he does that thing I like so much, the cut. Gets away from the ball, throws his arms and hands at it. The fielder sprints and will pull it in. That's a fine bit of fielding, actually. So they only get 3 instead of 4. So credit in the chase there for Mayank, who I don't know who Mayank Agarwal is out there for, but he's out there, and he's saved a run.
Yeah, great bit of fielding, ultimate commitment there, diving, full stretch, saving just a 1 run. But again, great batting from Ollie Pope. He got a ripper of a ball the ball before, but he's managed to clear his mind, get back into the process, back into the plan, dropped a little bit short that Axar that time, and Pope quick onto it, knocking it away.
Here's Akshar Patel again, and now Pope goes on the cut. There's Agarwal again. I thought Pujara was coming back onto the field after lunch, but no, Agarwal is still out there for him. 16 to Pope, 4 to Folkes. 75 is the score. A long way behind, 329, so England 259 behind. Left alone by Folkes, just wide enough to leave alone. It bounces through at tummy height to the wicketkeeper.
Come on! Come on, Ags!
Now they ask about that one. I don't think so myself, but they appeal, the double appeal. They sort of implore, actually, not appeal. They've got 1 left. Does Kohli use it up here or not? He decides not to. And maybe there was some bat involved.
Yeah, I think they think there was a bit of inside edge onto this, otherwise it was very close. I think there may have been, we're just waiting for a replay, I think there may have been a little bit of inside edge. Axar again bowling very quick. This one slides on with the arm. Beats Folkes on the bit of inside edge.
Saved him. He's just going to have to be careful of planting that front leg down the line of middle stump. Just got to, if he can, it's a difficult thing to work on while you're out there. He's just got to wait a little bit longer before committing. so that he lines the ball up marginally better. Pope is doing that really well. 70 for 5. Here's R. Ashwin again. Again, there's that overspin. No great turn. Back goes Pope and defends on the back foot.
I think your point about the singles is a really good one, and for the other reason that you don't go at the ball as hard when you're looking to get the ones and twos.
Yeah, that's nicely played. Waited. Did Pope and just dropped soft hands on the ball.
Exactly, that's a great example. Because you're playing with soft hands, if it does bounce, if you do get an edge, it tends to just drop down rather than go up for the catch.
Tremendous energy from the Indians at the moment. Down goes Ollie Pope and plays a nice little sort of knock drive to mid-on, sees that he's not fully alert, and gets a single for it. Just watched a replay actually of that big appeal against Ben Foakes, and it's difficult to say whether the bat was in contact with the ball before the pad. Anyway, it's gone now. It was not out, and it was a good decision at the time. Now he leaves that one. It's unusual of Ashwin to bowl round the wicket to a right-hander, but anyway, he is doing that, and he kicked it away. He was going to play it, was Foakes, but he let it hit his pad and it dropped to safety. Energy from the Indian players, but also from the Indian crowd. Down comes Foakes, and he finds the gap at mid-on. That is a wonderful stroke. Ease and grace and simplicity making the timing, not unlike Rohit Sharma's stroke play yesterday.
Yeah, low risk, or as low risk as possible on this pitch. Down the wicket, couple of strides, and again he was actually just looking to hit it to that man at mid-on for one, push it for one, and he actually timed it so well, got it straighter, beat the diving fielder away for a boundary. England now 75 for 5.
Yes, don't try to get more from the shot than you need. Focus on timing. I keep saying it, precision. Ashwin again, back over the wicket, and mid-on is back. Can you believe they put him straight back to the boundary, and then there's a easy single. So 76 for 5. Pope has 17, Foakes has 8, or 9 actually, and we have Akash Chopra with us, who joins me now. Akash, in short, this is much more like Test match cricket in India, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Mark. To be fair, we haven't seen these kind of surfaces where the ball actually is turning as much or doing as much as it is doing on day 2 over the last 3 or 4 test series that I remember at home, whether it was South Africa at home, before that or it was Bangladesh at home, and then even the last tour of England to India, the pitches were not like this. Of course, these are extraordinary times where you're playing 2 matches at the same venue. I don't remember 2 back-to-back test matches at one venue. But it's happening right now, and therefore the surface is behaving the way it is. But you're absolutely right. More spin, more turn, more bounce. Toss becomes critical, and how you handle spin also is an equally important component. Not to mention or not to forget the quality of spin on display.
Yes.
Akshar, Ashwin, and I'm waiting for Kuldeep to actually bowl. It's been too long. I think he should be given a go as well.
Yeah. If you were Kohli, say England were bowled out for 150. Or fewer, would you enforce the follow-on?
No, Mark, no chance. Follow-on is a thing of the past. So no matter how far ahead you are in the game, this pitch is not going to get easy. So once that's the case, even if you have 200 in the bank, you add another 150, 180, and you put the opposition in again, and it's just it will be almost impossible to survive. So follow-on, I don't think, even if England were to be bundled out right away, India won't enforce the follow-on.
What, even bundled out for 100?
Yes, you would still not see a follow-on, Mark. I doubt it.
I love the way you say it to me, as if to say, poor old soul. He lived in an age when things were so different.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
Don't be sorry. It's lovely as always. We've spent many hours chatting together about the game. We've got a long break here that has become a drinks break. I don't know whether it was scheduled or not, but actually there's a bit of treatment going on, some bandages being wrapped around. The boys have been talking a lot about R. Ashwin's control of spin, sometimes not trying to spin the ball too hard, focusing more on bounce. sometimes bowling over spinners rather than side spinners, not always trying to rip it so that it goes square.
He's a very crafty bowler. He's got the control, and of course he's got the variations as well. Then uses the angles quite nicely too.
Okay, we've got Ben Foakes on strike to Akshar Patel, and Foakes is forward and does well to sort of prod that to mid-on with his bat a long way out in front of his pad, and he gets a laugh from behind just because it looked slightly different, that's all. It looks slightly unusual, but it's how they used to play a bit actually on the old uncovered pitches, wet pitches. Oh, what a delivery that is. Curved in from wide on the crease towards middle and leg, pitches and rips away past Foakes' outside edge. Wow, good ball. No doubt, like Jadeja, with the way Akshar's bowling it quick and into the pitch, it's really taking. And again, Stokes uses his bat only as he's well in front of his pad there, pushing the ball back to towards the non-striker, really. 3 Indian fielders around the bat weight, 2 slips and a short leg. And that's another good baller off stump. Foakes is equal to it. There's a bit too much oohing and ahhing from the slips there, given it hit most of the middle of Ben Foakes' grey nickels. Akshar Patel on his Test debut showing great consistency as again he brings the forward defensive stroke, but this one rolls off the bat as he half begins to take it away down into the gully or the second slip. But Akshar is really bowled with exactly the right pace for the surface, enough spin and plenty of his obvious competitive spirit. And that's an orthodox ball defended on the front foot comfortably. Akash, you still there?
Yes, I am.
It looks to me like Kuldeep. He is. He was warming up, and now he's running into bowl.
And it will be interesting because it's been 2 long years since he played his last Test match. The Test match was in Sydney, where he took actually 6 wickets, and that was when our friend Ravi actually announced it to the world that he is India's first choice spinner overseas. And surprise, surprise, kid didn't get a single chance since then. Not at home, hasn't played a game away. So this is his first opportunity. He actually might just be feeling as if he's also on his Test debut as the guy at the other end, Akshar Patel.
Fastest 20 minutes of my life. Over to you, Mr. McKenna.
Thanks very much, Mark. Yep, Kuldeep Yadav into the attack for his 7th Test match. His first, as you just mentioned, first since January of 2019. India have played 13 Test matches since then. He's into the attack. He's got 24 wickets in his Test so far. The left arm wrist spinner is bowling over the wicket to Ollie Pope, and it's a straight ball, takes Pope on the front pad, and it's out on the onside, and there is no run. England 76 for 5. Still short of the follow-on target, as Akash just said. He didn't think that India would enforce anyway, but 129 it is. And that's down the leg side. It's brushed off his pad, I think, as a big appeal. Umpire Menon is having nothing of that one. It was taken down the leg side. It was well taken, but nothing to get Virat Kohli to go upstairs, Matt Pryor.
Yeah, it looked like it was just off the pad. Ollie Pope getting vicious turn. Early signs from Kuldeep.
3 round the bat, slip, leg slip and short leg. Pope is using his feet, pushing it past Shubman Gill at short leg, and they will take a single. Pope goes to 18, England 77 for 5.
I know he's only on 18. Again, don't want to put the knockers on him, but Ollie Pope is very impressive, isn't he? Just the way he goes about it, the way he goes about his batting. He looks very clear of thought. Looks like he embraces the challenge as well. He enjoys it. He wants to be out there in the middle. In this situation, well, probably he doesn't want to be in this situation by choice, but certainly not backing down from it. It's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We just put in the Snicko on that previous shot down the leg side. It did indeed go off of the pad through to Rishabh Pant. Kuldeep in, left arm over. Ben Foakes is pushing up to mid-off, and there's no run. There's an awful lot of comments on social media at the moment about the amount of noise that Rishabh Pant et al. Are making behind the stumps. Obviously, Matt, you'll have been in that position. Is he overdoing it for you or not?
Absolutely not.
Kuldeep is in. That is a very full delivery. Folks is pushing into the offside with that one, but misses. It goes through to the keeper and no run.
It's Test cricket. You've got a team on the ropes. What are you going to do? Sit quietly and allow them back into the game? Absolutely not. You want these batsmen to feel under all the pressure they can. You want them to feel like the whole world's against them.
Kuldeep is in once again. Trying to dab it into the leg side is Folks, and there is no run. I'm glad you said that, because I've got to be honest, I think it's brilliant that we can actually hear what's going on out in the middle. There's so much about this. End of the over, 77 for 5 here on TalkSport 2. Jared, you got something for us?
Yesterday the ball spun more after lunch than it did before lunch, but the batsmen had a lot more problems before lunch in that initial period. I think because the ball was a bit harder and was spinning a bit quicker. Is there a possibility, and I suppose this is for Akash as much as anything, is there a possibility if when the ball goes a bit softer again that the England batsmen might be able to get a little bit more of a run? I know they've already lost some wickets, but it does seem to me that when this ball is softer, it doesn't quite rip off the surface in the same way.
We'll let Akash answer that one in a moment, because Akshar Patel is already in and bowling around the wicket to Ollie Pope, and there's no run. Akash, your thoughts on that?
It does make it a little easier, and then if the longer you're there on the surface, it becomes easier anyway. Your feet are moving better.
Pope pushes into the offside, no run.
And that was primarily because of Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane as well, because they were stitching a partnership. The bowlers were not as consistent, and it became easier.
Akshar Patel, left arm around the wicket. Pope pushes into the offside, and there's no run on this occasion. England remains 77 for 5. There's got to be more than 9,000 in today. That was the official attendance yesterday. They're certainly making an awful lot of noise at the moment as Akshar goes in. Ollie Pope in his crease. It takes him on the pad, but it's sliding down the leg side. We did notice actually earlier on this morning that far more of the home supporters actually in the ground had face masks on. Seems since lunch they've not bothered, because the shots of the crowd we've just seen, there's very few of them actually now wearing face masks. What you can see is an awful lot of broad smiles on the home fans' faces, and they will have enjoyed that one, because Akshar has ripped another one past the outside edge of Ollie Pope's bat. He's stretching a long way forward, but he's beaten, and it's through to the gloves of Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, again, fantastic bowling from Akshar. Quick, throwing it into the stomach. I mean, he has to play that Ollie Pope, because he's pitched from middle and off, and then spun viciously past the outside edge. But again, for the England batsman, that's okay.
Pope forward to this one from Akshar to end the over, and there is no run. It's like a firework exploding basically as the ball hits the surface at the moment. There's bits going in all different directions, and you just, well, if there's not one with your name on it, keep going for a while more.
As I said earlier, Maka, playing on a pitch on a surface like this, you've just got to stick to your game plan, and if you get one with your name on it, so be it. It's only if you come out of your game plan that you'll be disappointed. I think that's why Ben Stokes was so angry with himself. Because again, one of the rules on a surface like this, definitely early on in your innings, you want to play really straight for as long as possible. And Stokes, even though the ball was coming in, looked like it was going to go into his legs, he would want to have tried to push it back towards the bowler, and in fact, sort of try to whip it through mid-wicket. The ball obviously spun past the outside edge and bowled him. I think that's why he's disappointed. So you've got to stick to your game plan.
Kuldeep to start a new over with the crowd going absolutely potty. Folks is just in behind this, dropping it into the offside. No run. Virat Kohli is now orchestrating the crowd again. It's a bit like if you've ever seen the footage from Live Aid back in 1985 and Freddie Mercury with that incredible performance from Queen. Basically, Virat Kohli is essentially doing the same with the crowd in Chennai. Kuldeep is in. Folks is getting a ball that's slightly shorter. He's trying to pull into the onside, but can only find the fielder at mid-wicket, and there's no run. I've never seen a captain so overtly organise a crowd like Virat has at a cricket game at the moment. He wants to keep the crowd right on top of England, as well as the actual action on the field. Kuldeep is in. Folks pushing back down the pitch.
Well, you asked the question about was there too much noise on the pitch. Well, I mean, Virat Kohli is literally getting the crowd to be as noisy as possible. He wants these England batsmen to feel under as much pressure as possible. And rightly so.
Hey, it's home field advantage. It's what it's all about. Kuldeep, left arm over. Folks pushes down the pitch. Oh, glorious shot, Ben Folks. That's better than a push. It's going to go all the way to the boundary at mid-off. And Folks goes into double figures. 13 from 37 balls now for the England keeper batsman. England 81 for 5.
Yeah, another outstanding shot from Ben Folks. And again, a feature of this shot is not trying to hit it too hard. It's just a push down the ground. Kuldeep going over length a little bit too full, but Folks equal to it, pushes it down the ground. Great boundary. England go to 81 for 5 here on TalkSport 2.
And TalkSport, they've just joined us as well. You join us as Ben Folks hits a boundary. England 81 for 5. As a ball from Kuldeep Yadav, another of the Indian spinners, turns down the leg side. Folks stays out of the way of that one. It has been tough sledding for England this morning. They managed to wrap up the Indian tail as they bowled them out for 329. But since then, it's been a regular procession of wickets for the home side. And England 81 for 5. Pope has 18 from 52, looks as comfortable as anyone. Ben Folks there 13 from 38. And it is the wicketkeeper who pushes this one back down the pitch to end the over. 81 for 5. Analyst is Jared Kimber.
So we have a left arm wrist spinner on at the moment. They bowl 1 out of every 200 balls in Test cricket. That's how rare left arm wrist spinner are. I think there's 4 of them in the last 10 years in Test match cricket. Not one of them has bowled more than 2,000 balls, and none of them have taken over 50 wickets. Ollie Pope, in his career coming into this game, had faced 12 balls of left arm wrist spin in first class cricket in his entire career. And Ben Folks had faced 29 balls of left arm wrist spin in his entire career. It is almost, I remember going back a couple of years ago, it's slightly changed now because a couple of left arm wrist spinners are in county cricket, but a couple of years ago, I think the 16 wickets to Brad Hogg and 8 wickets to Simon Katich were the only left arm wrist spin wickets for about 13 years in English red ball cricket.
Wow. Akshar Patel to pick up the play. Ben Folks has just changed his gloves. Ollie Pope is playing it out onto the offside, and there is no run. Akash Chopra is still with us, the former Indian batsman. Akash, just a word on Virat Kohli and the way he's orchestrating the crowd. They love everything he does, of course, all the time, but I've never seen anyone do anything quite like this.
I know, but it's not the first time for him, to be honest. He is known to doing this, and I think just what you mentioned earlier, home advantage is not just about the pitch, it's also about the crowd getting involved, and he knows how to just keep them animated.
And he certainly is. Ben Folks is waiting. Oh, it's a short ball that he's actually gone back to, tried to work into the leg side, but that doesn't bounce much, and that's right down on the toe of the bat, fielded at short leg, no run. Slip, silly point and short leg around Ben Folks. Akshar Patel on Test debut in his 15th over, 1 for 29. And Ben Folks comes very solidly forward, middle of the bat meeting that, and there is no run. India had lost just 1 home test in their last 35 matches. And you can see why it's not more than that, as Folks comes forward and pushes out on the offside no run, because after losing the first one, the pitch for this match has very much reverted in favour of the home side conditions. Is it good enough for Test match standard? Well, that's a debate. It's the one we've got. It's the one we've got to play on. And India have posted 329 on it. England 82 for 5. Now they're going to have a change in the fields. And... or is this passing a message? No, I think they're waiting for another helmet to come out, for another man to surround the batsman. So we'll have another pause at the moment. Second of 4 Test matches, then a week's gap as everyone moves on to Ahmedabad, and then 2 Test matches there, back to back once again. You can of course follow all of the action, every ball of the series, exclusively live on TalkSport 2. Just download the app, get that on your phone or your tablet, ready to go, and you'll be able to swipe between TalkSport and TalkSport 2 to your heart's content. Get it from all the normal app providers, of course. Folks, as play resumes, and it's pushed back down the pitch to Akshar Patel. So there's a short leg and a silly point, both under helmets. Kohli's put himself in the silly point position. Ben Foakes will play this and just dab it past slip. And that will be the end of the over. 37 gone of the England innings. They're 82 for 5, so they still trail India by 247 runs here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Plenty of work to do, and that will actually now be the drinks break. So we have reached an hour into the middle session of the second day. Matt Pryor's moved out, Gareth Batty has moved in, and with Ollie Pope and Ben Foakes still there, 19 and 13 not out respectively. England have rebuilt, and I do use that phrase loosely, obviously, from where they were, though, at 39 for 4 and 52 for 5, 82 for 5. At least there are some building blocks going in place.
Yeah, it's certainly not a time to get too carried away, but both playing very assured, slightly differently. Ben Foakes looks to generally get a slightly bigger stride and smother the ball, whereas Ollie Pope is looking to be a little bit quicker on his feet, pushing back wherever possible to try and get that ball in and around backward point and through that offside, particularly to the left arm spin. But no, they both play very nicely, and it's not something that's massively foreign to them. Playing at the Kia Oval, you do get some pitches that can spin. Changed in the last few years, but certainly their early stewardship as young men growing up with Kumar Sangakkara at the other end, or certainly in and around the vicinity, telling them off when they were messing around and not concentrating, is certainly paying dividends here. And I just think that grounding for these two with him is absolutely gold dust, and England are reaping the rewards at the minute. As I say, it's still in its infancy, but the signs look pretty good from these two.
As an appreciator of spin bowling, can I just ask your analysis of what we've seen so far from Ashwin, Akshar in the very early stages of Kuldeep? I mean, as a triumvirate, working as a unit.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ashwin, wonderful performer, closing in on 400 Test wickets. It's been quite surprising for me the first 2 Test matches that he's looked to bowl more square spin with a little bit of can to the seam underneath. So actually the ball isn't always spinning. He's trying to hold the batsman on the outside edge, the right-handed batsman, and the left-handers is trying to sort of hold them on the pad and at the stumps with the odd ball spinning. Whereas Aksar's been a fraction more different. He's been square and very direct. He's tall bowler, so he's driven it into those rough areas and those gravelly areas that Murali Kartik has so beautifully described. And Kuldeep, we haven't seen a huge amount, but the difference with Kuldeep, with him being a wrist spinner, there's definitely more in his trajectory. He's getting a bit more up and down. There's less pace on the ball directly into the area than the previous two. So the finger spinners have been quite direct, and they've definitely extracted more bounce and spin. And it's actually, I think, been harder to play than potentially the wrist spin at the minute, because of you've got more time to adjust your position and go with the spin or see it off the pitch. The beauty of the previous two finger spinners has been they've been direct, committing the batsman to a line and a length and just saying, right, you've made your decision, there's not a lot you can do now.
Mentioned earlier on this morning, for anyone who hasn't been with us right since the start at 4 o'clock, England actually have gone pretty well in Asia. Since January 2010, they've won 11 and lost 12, which is the best of any of the non-Asian sides. Has it simply taken a pitch that is borderline unplayable to have them 82 for 5, or have they made mistakes? Because they certainly seem to have been improving in Asian conditions in recent times.
Look, on a pitch like this, you're going to make mistakes. That's just a fact. I think we don't need to take too much out of it. We need to look at Rohit Sharma and just say that man played an absolute jet of an innings. I don't think it would be replicated by anybody else, certainly in this game and for a very long time. 161 on your own bat in these conditions is quite incredible, and I think that is as far as we need to look at it.
Right, well, the drinks break is about to finish. Kuldeep is about to start a new over, and he's going to bowl it left arm over. Ollie Pope pushes into the offside and will take an immediate single to take England to 83 for 5 here on TalkSport 2. Neil Manthorpe's going to take you through the next 20 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mako. There was talk and speculation that Kuldeep, one of the reasons that Virat Kohli is a little bit lukewarm about having Kuldeep in the side is that he likes his spinners to be more direct, as Gareth Buddy says, and Kuldeep's just felt to be a bit too slow through the air. That one is pushed by Ben Foakes up to a deepish mid-off, and they go through for another single. 84 for 5.
Yeah, I think it was Mishra and Chawla under MS Dhoni's stewardship as captain that they missed out a lot because he felt like they weren't direct enough on these pitches.
Here's Kuldeep once again, and that one turns back in towards Ollie Pope, and he drops it down into the covers and scampers through for a single. That's good batting. So it's that fraction of a second more time that the batsman has to make a decision, isn't it?
I think it's the surface. The surface requires you to be very direct, and the batsman then has to make the questions off the pitch.
Kuldeep in once again. Forward comes Ben Foakes, dropping it down on the offside. So Kohli wants the batsman to be rushed.
Well, he just wants them to. You want to hold them on the line, so they've made the decision. They're pushing forward. They hold the line, as opposed to we saw a couple of balls previous. Ollie Pope being able to just nudge back and get a single into the offside because of the lack of it being as direct.
Slip, short leg, and leg slip. And go through for a single as Ben Foakes nudges it again out towards mid-wicket. There is a man on the slog sweep there out at deep mid-wicket, but it's just a single this time. Pope 21, Foakes 15, and the Surrey pair working incredibly hard. England were 52 for 5. They're now 86 for 5. There's an awfully long way to go, but
I suppose it's an ability for the batsmen to use their skill. We've talked about Ollie Pope pushing forward and then pushing back and getting deep in the crease to manipulate the bowlers. I think if you're more direct as a spinner and you're hitting just patches on the pitch, it eradicates an amount of that skill set for a batter, because you have to respect the fact it's coming into an area at a certain velocity and you know the pitch is going to bounce and turn, and then again it might not do. So you're asking a bit more of an immediate question.
England 86 for 5. Kuldeep Yadav has changed his field. He's got a backward short leg and a slip to Ollie Pope. A couple of men on the drive as well. Kuldeep in once again. Sweep shot, top edge, and lands very safely a long way short of Ishant Sharma at deep backward square leg. 38 overs gone. England 87 for 5. Jared Kimber.
I think there's actually another reason that India have been a little bit reticent. Well, there's a couple of reasons with Kuldeep. One is that his economy rate in first-class cricket is 3.65, which is very, very high for an economy rate for a spinner at international level. It's been slightly lower than that in Test level, but he's only played a couple of games so far. Another reason is, up until he took 5 wickets in his last Test in Australia at the start of 2019. He's played 2 first-class games since then. So he's had no practice, but in one-day cricket, he was averaging 26 in one-day cricket up until that game. Since then, he's been averaging 37 in one-day cricket. And I checked his T20 stats, exactly the same thing has happened. The more that people around the world have started to play him, the more the word has got out on how to play him. And he is a good player, but he's also, he bowls a lot of good balls and a lot of poor balls, which is not exactly the last wrist spinner in the world to be able to do that. And I think that one of the many reasons they didn't go in with him in the last Test is they just don't quite trust him to put the ball exactly where they want it for big periods. And you can see here, they basically waited, didn't they, until they were well on, until there was a reason to bring him into the attack. They didn't rush him in. And I think that they just don't quite trust him to be able to land the ball. And there has certainly been a theory around international cricket, I don't know if you've heard it as well, but that batsmen have just started to work him out a bit better over the last couple of years, whereas before then, no one really knew how to play him at all. He had an incredible average almost everywhere he played, which is why he has a Test average of 24 coming into this Test, because he hasn't played any in that period.
Mohammad Siraj into the attack for the first time. Right arm, quick down the leg side, and he's taken.
Wow.
Oh my goodness me, what a catch. Rishabh Pant with his left hand diving full length down the leg side, and Mohammad Siraj has got rid of Ollie Pope with his very first delivery, and it was a poor one. It was a loosener down the leg side. Ollie Pope glancing. Rishabh Pant at the second grab, I think, has held on to a one-handed strangle, and England are 6 down. Ollie Pope has to go.
Wow, this is all about the catch. I mean, we've seen some great catches in this series so far, but a bit of a loosener, like you say, from Shiraz. Ollie Pope thinking, I've got something to feed off here, gets a bit of a feather trying to knock it down to fine leg. Rishabh Pant, wow, should we call him Superman? He's travelled about 4 metres to take this down the leg side, one-handed with his left hand, and caught it in that little bit of webbing that those keepers get. You wouldn't be catching that without the webbing. It's just that little bit, and Matty Pryor's nearly choking on his bacon butties. I said that little bit of webbing keeps it in his hand. What a snare from Rishabh Pant.
And then, as he landed, it squirmed out like a live fish, didn't it? It just squirmed out of the webbing and threatened to escape, but he managed to clutch it to his chest.
It really was. You've got to... the ground is covered. The force going in the ground as he lands is immense, and that's as it sort of pops up. So to have the presence of mind to still recover and keep it in the glove, once it's bobbled out, and then grab it again is it's quite incredible. He's having some game, some series, Rishabh Pant.
Well, it amused me when it was a great news line, and it was clickbait deluxe when newspapers report and commentators said that India had resorted to using net bowlers in the final test match against Australia in Brisbane. Mohammad Siraj was one of those. Now he's not a net bowler. He was a reserve. He wasn't in the squad that was announced. He was a travelling reserve used ostensibly to provide practice in the nets, him and a number of others. He ended up in the squad because of all of the injuries to Umesh Yadav and Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami, and the list goes on. So Siraj ended up in the test team. He's not a net bowler. I mean, he's like the next level of Indian seamers. But what a fairy tale story for him. Moeen Ali's the new batsman for England. They are 87 for 6. Ben Foakes has 15, but it's Mo on strike. And first delivery's back of a length, and he steers it into the gully. And there's no run. Moeen has his first delivery under his belt. England 87 for 6.
It just shows the value of being in and around the setup. Years ago it used to be your county pros would look at where England will be touring in the winter, and they'd try and get an overseas job at a club somewhere, whether it be South Africa or Australia. These younger fellas now, they get taken around with the team, and it's a great opportunity, and Siraj is showing that look, people can call you what they want. You're in and around. You're the next cab off the rank, and he's now playing Test cricket. Good on you, pal.
Well, and he gets to bowl his... India are playing 2 seamers, and he gets to bowl his first over, the 39th of the innings, and they're playing 2 seamers. Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Siraj. Here's Siraj once again, full and wide outside the off stump, and it's left alone.
He won't care one bit, man, as he's one for spit at the minute. He's living the dream.
Dead right, and it's extraordinary story, Mohammad Siraj, who's made his way up from the lowest. He comes from a very poor family. His father's a tuk-tuk driver, and he eventually made it into the IPL. That's full and wide, left alone outside the off stump from Moeen Ali, and father was a tuk-tuk driver, I beg your pardon, because of course he passed away while he was in Australia. But just an extraordinary story. You read about the perseverance and the kilometres, the miles he had to travel to get to practice, and he's a late developer as well. Made it into the Bangalore Royal Challengers. Again, he was a net bowler providing practice, and they like what they saw. Here is Siraj again outside the off stump, and left alone by Moeen Ali. 87 for 6, England. So the archetypal, just never give up. You always talk about living the dream. Well, first of all, dream the dream.
Yeah, call me a romantic, but I love stories like that. Keep banging on that door. Anybody listening that is desperate to get out there and play some cricket, get out there and play. If you're not playing, if you're not getting yourself around some nets, if you're not giving yourself an opportunity, these things will never happen. And sport is that beautiful thing, that it can open doors that you thought maybe could never be opened. And Siraj, he's living everybody's dream out there and his own. I think it's brilliant.
Me too. We're all romantics when it comes to cricket. Here is Siraj once again, and it's pushed away defensively by Mo Ali, square of the wicket on the offside. And what an over from Mohammad Siraj, beautifully bowled. Well, the last 5 balls were. The first one was the loosener that got him a wicket. England 87 for 6.
Just shows the value of holding the scoreboard. So England had a partnership there. Foakes and Pope played very nicely, but still had to work extremely hard for the runs. And because India had held the scoring rate, they'd held their economies individually, it allows the next guy that's part of the bowling unit to get that wicket. It's not always you that gets the rewards. Axar Patel's bowled very nicely, as has Ashwin. You don't always get those rewards at that time, but if as a unit, as a group, if you all pull together and hold the game, attack and defend in the same breath, you'll get your rewards at some point. Shiraz is on the right side of it now. He'll do the hard work for somebody else at some point, and that person will get the rewards.
Kuldeep Yadav continues now, he's going around the wicket, and he's into his delivery stride, and then something didn't feel right, so he pulled out just as he was about to bowl. Moeen Ali at the non-striker's end certainly wasn't trying to steal a single. Here is Kuldeep Yadav once again. It's pushed square to the wicket on the offside. Jared Kimber was just saying that, I just to check that I heard you right, that Kuldeep Yadav has only played 2 first-class games. Of course, the Ranji Trophy's been cancelled this year, so he couldn't play a first-class game, but he only played 2 first-class games last year.
In the last 2 years.
Oh.
So he played against South Africa A, and he played against Australia A.
Here is Yadav once again, and that one turns into Ben Foakes, and he plays defensively out on the onside.
Took 4 wickets against South Africa A, but went it over 4 runs and over while doing so, and didn't take any wickets against Australia A. Didn't bowl that many overs against Australia A, I think about 15 or so.
Sorry, I need to add to that. What are the reasons for not playing anymore?
Here is Yadav again, and that one has turned with the spin out towards mid-wicket. No run, 87 for 6.
It happens to a lot. Washington Sundar went 4 years without playing a first-class game. Once you get in the Indian white ball setup, it actually is very hard for you to play in Ranji cricket anymore. And you basically have to play in development squads, and he's probably a bit above that.
Yadav in again, sharp turn into the right-handed Foakes, pushes it to mid-wicket, Kohli fields.
Because, as you know, India A played a few games in Beckenham a couple of years ago. And in fact, regularly playing Beckenham. They used to play in Guildford as well. I don't know why everything has to be in South London. But essentially, I don't think he's had the opportunity to play too many of those games. And then he missed out on a whole season.
Kuldeep in once more. Forward comes Foakes, defending again to mid-wicket. No run, 87 for 6, England.
Which from a development point of view is crucial. He's still only a very young man, and it's those experiences, those challenges that each 4-day game would throw up that actually set you in good stead for the test match that obviously he's playing in now.
Kuldeep in again, and short, and it's pulled into the body of Mayank Agarwal, who's now fielding at short leg, the substitute on the field for Jiteshwar Pujara, who got struck on the hand yesterday by Ollie Stone. So there's no run. Ben Foakes denied a run by the inadvertent presence of the short leg.
I also think it's a very important thing for a left-arm wrist spinner, because what happens is they usually turn up and they take a whole bunch of wickets when they arrive, and then they're worked out and they get pushed out of the game. That's probably the best time for them to learn and develop their skills so that they can come back in their late 20s, early 30s. I mean, Manners will know that South Africa basically lost, 7 years of Paul Adams' career because he struggled for Test cricket. He struggled in Test cricket for about a 2-year period, and they just discarded him. It's a really good time for Kuldeep to play as much first-class cricket as possible and build up all the other skills that he never needed when he first came to the game.
Yeah,
Paul Adams is still younger than Brad Hodge. He's consistently younger than Brad Hogg, but he's still younger than Brad Hogg was when he made his 3rd comeback.
Mohammad Siraj continues to Moeen Ali, pushes it square of the wicket on the offside. There was a theory that Paul Adams took 134 Test wickets at a very tidy average.
Still got one of the best averages of an overseas spinner in Asia, Paul Adams.
Well, there was a theory that if you just played him like he was a gentle medium pacer, and tried to just remove the mystery, because he didn't turn it a lot. He turned it both ways, obviously. But not a lot. So if you just played him like he's a gentle medium pacer, here is Siraj, and that one swings away from Moeen Ali as he cuts and misses into the gloves of Rishabh Pant. I'm not sure how much water that theory actually held, but
his wrong and went up out of the hand, didn't it? And his leg spinner didn't, in a way that Rashid Khan, there isn't as much of a difference. This is one for you, Bats. What I don't understand is, if a left arm wrist spinner does exactly what a right arm wrist spinner does, just with another arm, how come they're so much harder to pick out of the hand when you haven't faced them before? Surely it's just a mirror image, or is that as confusing in the first place?
It confused me. Mohammad Siraj in again outside the off stump, left alone by Moeen Ali, I think, or maybe he played and missed. I think he was playing inside the line. 87 for 6.
Well, what I mean is that essentially there is nothing that a right arm wrist spinner can do that a left arm wrist spinner can't do. It's not like a left arm wrist spinner has a complete other delivery to bowl, and yet they seem to have a lot more mystery than normal leg spin.
I suppose it's just the obvious thing of the angle where they're coming from. Generally, the left armers lose their front side, they lose their right arm quicker to get the angle across the right-handed batsman. And they'll bowl to more right-handed batsmen naturally than left-handed batsmen is the only thing I can think of.
Siraj in once more. Moeen Ali comes forward and plays defensively, no run.
So that collapsing of that front arm, would that make it easier to bowl a wrong one that is harder to pick?
Should do, because you got the natural angle running it across, but it probably makes their natural leg spinner a lot harder to bowl because you've got to work so much harder to actually get your hips in a position to get the thrust through down to target to get that beautiful curve and spin and drop that Shane Warne used to get.
87 for 6, replying to India's 329. Here is Mohammad Siraj once more, bangs it in back of a length, and Moeen Ali stands upright at the crease, and that one bounces normally. On Ollie Pope's dismissal, Bats, and I ask you this with a reminder, I'm sure you haven't forgotten, but maybe some of our listeners have, that you did once bat number 6 for England in a test match, so I think you have every right to comment on batting questions. But Ollie, is a batsman ever at fault being caught down the leg side glancing?
I think there are certain batsmen who have a certain technique where they are more likely for that to happen. I wouldn't suggest that Ollie Pope is one of those. Potentially Sibley with a closed face, potentially does.
Okay, because I didn't think Ollie Pope did anything wrong at all. I mean, it was there for the glance, and forward comes Moeen Ali to the last ball of Mohammad Siraj's over, and that's pushed defensively up towards mid-on. 41 overs gone. England battling hard. 41 overs, 87 for 6.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that dismissal, he'd stayed side on until he'd seen the ball actually travelling a decent way down the leg side. And because he's then opened himself up, so he's a bit more chest on at impact, it gives you half a bat at the ball. But it's because of the line. He's trying to score off it. He's trying to get it backward of square into the gap for 4. And he's trying to put a bit of extra power into it, which actually means he's accessed the ball with half a bat as opposed to staying side on for longer to give a full face. I mean, that's just the reason why it was probably nicked down the leg side. I'm not suggesting for a second that it would happen again and it's an issue and so on. I think you go to bed tonight and forget about it, wake up tomorrow, it's another day sort of situation.
Moeen Ali is yet to score off 11 balls faced. Ben Foakes has 15 off 53. Top scorer for England so far, 22 by Ollie Pope. He is Kuldeep Yadav continuing to Foakes. Comes forward and steers that behind square on the offside.
Do you want to play a fun game with left arm wrist spinners? Can you name the 5 who have bowled over 150 balls in Test match cricket in the last 10 years?
Left arm wrist spinners. Here is Kuldeep Yadav, and that's punched off the back foot out towards mid-off. And Kuldeep ends up embracing Moeen Ali as he tries to field it off his own bowling. He bumps into Moeen Ali and then wraps his arms around him to keep his balance. I suppose Kuldeep is one, is he? Yes, he is.
He's one.
Yeah, okay. Help me out here, Bats. 87 for 6, Kuldeep in again. Forward comes Ben Foakes, pushing it back to the bowler.
Adams Hogg.
Not in the last 10 years, no, this is just the last 10 years. Mark Nicholas has pointed one out to you, Matters, that you've probably commentated on.
Yes. Tabraiz Shamsi, South Africa's left arm wrist spinner. Here is Yadav once again, and that one is turned in the air upishly towards mid-wicket, but there is a man at Virat Kohli, the captain, at short mid-wicket there for the captain. For the catch.
I think all 3 of us have commentated on another one as well.
Just gone blank.
Not last 10 years, Mark, Simon Katic, but we have commentated on another left arm wrist spinner.
Oh, the chap from Sri Lanka.
Sandakan.
Sandakan Khan, Goffey, where are you, lad?
The other two are a bit trickier. They're two Afghanistanis, Zahir Khan and Waqar Salimkeel.
Salimkeel, yes, I saw him.
So Sandakan has bowled 2,063 balls in the last 10 years, and that is the most by any left-arm wrist spinner. And behind him is Kuldeep with 989, well, just over 1,000 today.
Kuldeep in once more, left alone. That one rips past the outside edge of Moeen's bat. Laxan Sandakan.
He can't have Zahir Khan just because he swung it both ways.
The other Zahir Khan.
England 88 for 6 now.
Lancashire fans will know the Zahir Khan I'm talking about. He played for Lancashire in the Blast, didn't he?
It went pretty well, I think.
Here comes Kuldeep once more, and that one hits the leading edge of Moeen's bat as he looks to work it on the leg side. Hits the leading edge and bounces out past the man at forward silly point, back to backward point. Ben Foakes 16, Moeen Ali yet to score off the 13 deliveries that he's faced. It's a battle for England at the moment. India completely on top for the next 20 minutes. He'll be with Mark Nicholas.
Go on, Bats, you want to say something? I can see.
I think I can offer up a bit of an explanation as to why Kuldeep's found it a little bit harder in the last period of time. England are not looking at hitting him. They're not looking at coming out particularly at him. They're happy to wait for him to come to them, so they play him off the back foot, they knock him, they wait for his bad ball. I think for somebody that spins it both ways with a lot of loop, if you're trying to hit the ball out of the ground, it makes them more effective to take wickets as opposing to make them come to you and knock them around a little bit more and sort of wear them down, as it were.
Foakes has played well, 16 from 57 balls. He's a nice organised batsman, and as he knocks that into the leg side off the back foot from sort of belly button height, one reflects upon that brilliant 100 he made in Gaul when he started his Test match career, and his ability to adjust to the conditions so quickly tells you that he's a thinking cricketer. Most wicket keepers are. That is, you know, they've got a lot to think about. Simple as that. And assimilating conditions is very much a part of their job and of a batsman's job. And if you're both a wicket-keeper batsman, then I guess it's not that much of a surprise. But this is a mighty task ahead of him. A bouncer from Siraj that he ducks underneath pretty comfortably. There's much to like about Ben Foakes, and primarily it's his temperament. He seems very calm to me, as if he understands that the game will sometimes run with you and other times against you. He was shattered privately when he didn't get a longer go at that first run of his Test match life, but that never came out in the open. He just got on with the job of being a cricketer. Didn't make the runs he would have liked to have done, but he got on with the job, and now the 2 years on, he's ready again. Here's Siraj bowls, and he goes back and plays that high bouncing ball very well. Siraj is a hustler, little steps in, hits the pitch as hard as he can. So I think he's come out of that very well. It's a terrible knock to be left out of a side after a good success, or a period of success. Terrible knock. But of course England couldn't decide what to do about the wicket-keeping thing, and Foakes was the one that suffered because of the quality of batting from Buttler and Bairstow. So the more runs he makes, the better. He waits again for Mohammad Siraj, who's got rid of the ponytail, shorter haircut, and bowls a good length, and Stokes plays it beautifully. Full face of the bat. In fact, that position that he held there would be good for playing the spinners. He tends to go a bit right-shouldered at the spinners, so the bat comes sort of from first slip towards mid-on. He just needs to be careful of that.
It's the difficulty for wicket keepers, isn't it? It's the only place in a cricket team where there's only one of them, and if you're blocked off by two very, very fine players in Buttler and Bairstow, it's a tough pill, isn't it, to swallow?
Oh yeah, here, very, very difficult. And Buttler and Bairstow have so much merit, so many plus marks on their side. That drifts down the leg side. Nice take by Rishabh Pant, who took that brilliant catch to get rid of Ollie Stokes a while ago. If you're just joining us, India bowled out for 329, losing 4 for 29 this morning. Not that England was spectacularly good. There were some pretty ordinary shots, a couple of good balls, and suddenly it was all over amidst a flurry of boundaries from Rishabh Pant. That's where the 29 came from, apart from one brilliant uppercut from Mohammad Siraj as soon as he came in. He tried it again next ball, got out to it. And England 88 for 6. A demanding pitch now against a good attack, very demanding. Lots of turn, a bit of uneven bounce. And one has some sympathy, actually. Even Akash Chopra said he hadn't seen a pitch like this in India do so much so soon for a long time. That'll be 4 leg buys. It goes off the thigh pad, splits the man at leg slip, who's been put in of late. And England have 4 added to their total. Gareth, before you go, I'm not a complete buyer. Oh, it's not the end of the over. Yes, it is, 92 for 6. I'm not a complete buyer of every dismissal down the leg side being bad luck. I think that if you understand the bowler you're batting against, and particularly those who rely on high bounce, the blokes who hit the pitch hard, and get, Steve Harmison would be a really good example. You want to be getting your hands out of the way if you can, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose the point I was trying to make was that certain players close the face on the bat more than others. And I think if you're somebody that closes the face quite a lot, you're playing with half a bat as you address the ball, as it's coming in towards your hip and going down the leg side. So I think more that's what I was saying. And Ollie Pope generally plays with a full face of a bat. I think it was just that occasion he was trying to hit it a bit harder behind square and ended up presenting half a bat as opposed to a full face.
Well, Matt Pryor's joining in here. Goffey's around. It's a defensive shot from Moeen Ali against Kuldeep for no run. 92 for 6. Moeen Ali yet to get off the mark. 14 balls to do so. Took Dan Lawrence a long time to get off the mark. He fought hard but got undone on the stroke of lunch. Painful for him, and it showed in his reaction. Ali is back. Moeen Ali is back and pushing towards short extra cover. A lot of encouragement around the bat from the Indians. I don't know whether you can pick that up at home or wherever you're listening, but a lot of noise around the bat today. Oh, back goes Moeen Ali and cuts nicely, and that should get to the boundary for 4. No, I don't know. Is it? Yes, it is. Yeah. So Moeen Ali's off the mark with a lovely, a very typical Moeen Ali shot. He's a very good cutter of the ball. Darren Goff's here as well. Goffey, what's your take of leg side catches and bowlers' luck or otherwise?
Well, I didn't get many because I didn't have that ability to come from 6'5", 6'6", so I was a skinny type bowler, so I didn't really get too many caught down the leg side.
We'll deal with it in a minute. Kuldeep again bowls Moeen Ali sensibly, plays straight to a ball at leg stump, and that's when he could have been tempted to flick it leg side and didn't, because there's the danger, of course, of its spins of getting a leading edge. So he gently pushed a single to mid-on, and that rotates the strike and brings Ben Foakes back on the strike. Has a good look around the field here, having remade his guard. Looking leg side. The only 2 attackers at the moment to him are slip and backward short leg. And he plays it well, over spinner there from Kuldeep Yadav. Left arm wrist spin. Great joy to watch it. One of the many varieties that cricket offers to make it such an attractive spectacle. Good solid forward defence from Ben Stokes. That one is a real spinner, ripping back into Foakes and hits him on the thigh pad. He elects in the end to leave it alone because he was uncertain about its bounce. 44 overs gone, 97 for 6. Okay, let's finish on that. Your thoughts in terms of a guy who does get bounce, a Harmison or Flintoff?
Well, definitely. Well, Flintoff got me out personally, caught down the leg side, and it's something I couldn't avoid because his angle he bowled at, that extra bounce, you end up thinking you can play it and get a good amount of bat on it and tickle it away for a single to get off strike, and you end up gloving it because of that steep extra bounce and pace. But I'm coming from a lower order batsman's point of view, and whenever I face bowlers like Ambrose or Walsh or Flintoff or Harmison, I always felt that was a way of me getting out, because you're always looking to play it and ride it and get a 1, but you might just get the glove on it.
Yeah, I mean we had that series against the Aussies.
Oh, well done, Moeen Ali, swaying back out of the way of that bouncer. Matt Pryor and Darren Goff are with me here in the studio in TalkSport.
The series against the Aussies where Mitchell Johnson was purposely bowling for that. He'd bowl that line and he was purposely bowling for caught down the leg side. So if you got a glove on it or bat on it, that was batsman's error. I look at it a little bit like when you play on. Some batter will play on, hits the stumps, and they'll all go, "Oh, how unlucky was I?" But actually, it's a poor stroke for whatever reason. You've not covered. You've not played the shot
Moeen Ali back, and elegant defence there in a perfect side-on position.
Or you've not executed the shot with enough thought or enough commitment or precision or whatever it is that's allowed the ball to then play on and hit your stumps. It's the same with getting caught down the leg side, that for whatever reason it is, you've not quite covered the ball as you should. And of course, every batsman will walk off shaking their head going, oh, how unlucky am I? But it's
Well, you never ignore the leg glance, because there's normally only one fielder behind square, occasionally two. Here's the Siraj again, and Moeen Ali on the up. Whoa, what a stop. Needed to be. Agarwal, the substitute fielder for Pujara, but beautifully played by Moeen Ali. No, Kuldeep Yadav it is actually, not Mayank Agarwal.
Well, he's got history on this ground, Moeen Ali, hasn't he? I think he got a big 100 here 4 years ago, so he's all set. It took him a while to get settled, but he'll be thinking, if I get 100 here today, it'll be my best innings ever.
The innings of his life, and maybe our lives. It'll need phenomenal support. And 97 for 6 England. If you've just turned on here, we're in TalkSport Towers, the news building just next to the Shard in London. Mohammad Shiraz bowls to Moeen Ali, and he defends half forward. There's no run from that. England are 97 for 6 in reply to India's 329. It's a grey morning in London. Snow is pretty much disappearing from the rooftops, though the rooftop beneath us that has AstroTurf, that's got a little bit of snow left. It's supposed to be a bit warmer today, I mean only a degree or two. The river is becalmed, of course no working boats on it, it being a Sunday. And yes, the city of London is asleep as Moeen tucks in behind the ball, knocks it back down the pitch to Siraj. This is good stuff from Siraj. He's coming in with a lot of energy, hitting the pitch hard in the early 130s for speed. That's kph, not mph.
Just finally on that caught down the leg side, when a tall bowler as well bowls it and it nips back sharply at you, it's your natural reaction to fend at it, isn't it? So you might get a little tickle on it down the leg side that way. And I can't think the batsman to blame for that one if it nips back sharply
that's
off
right.
the pitch.
I think there's a bit of both, isn't there? And left alone by Moeen Ali, sways out of the way of the short ball. 97 for 6. That's right. I think there's a mixture. And I think it's reasonable to be looking to play the leg glance, and if the ball bounces more than you expect, you can glove it. It doesn't often happen sort of off the blade of the bat, sometimes off an inside edge. But anyway, let's return to Chennai and the conditions, because I've talked about London. Not quite as hot as yesterday, more like 27 degrees, but with typical humidity down there. Still lovely. Relatively clear skies. You do get a bit of smog in Chennai, not quite as much as you might say in Mumbai or Kolkata, but in general it's a fun place to play cricket. The ground, the old Chetak Stadium, is very near the beach. You get tremendously enthusiastic people down in the south. So much of the big cricket centres around Mumbai and Delhi, and when it comes to Chennai, be third on the list with Bangalore probably, but they're always delighted. Food's great down in the south, it really is. Not that it's no good the rest of India, it's superb everywhere, but there's something rather more delicate about food down in the south of India. But we have a good first ball back into the attack from R. Ashwin on a length, maybe a tad over pitch, but Folks wasn't going to mess with it. He sort of just leant on it and pushed what, almost a half volley, the sort of ball that Rishabh Pant would launch into the stratosphere. Back goes Folkes and drops that one out onto the offside, and there's no run. Ben Folkes has been in for 67 balls now, worked very hard at getting himself in, which is so important against spinners. Oh, LBW shout. Wow, that is not a bad call. That might be reviewed. They've got 3 left. He's shuffled in front of his stumps, tried to turn it to leg side. Sorry, England have 3 left, India have 1. He shuffled in front of his stumps, but it hit him just above the roll. They are going to review it. This might only be an issue of height, because at first I thought might have hit him outside off stump. I'm not sure that it did. This is tight.
Yeah, it looked pretty straight to me. I think it's height. Height's the worry. Well, worry for India.
India's final review. I understand why Ashwin peeled so enthusiastically, Goffey.
There seems to be a lot of uncertainty though about their reviews. They haven't quite got their act together. Matt's talked many times
Show me one more time. That is
about how well organised the England team was in his day when it came to reviews. I think this England
Give me
team
all guys
gets
to
it
confirm
right
that,
most of
no
the time, but India, so far this series, have had an absolute shocker with the review. But this one's close.
Keep rolling, keep rolling. Big gap, keep rolling. Let it touch the pads. Give me the ball tracking when you're ready. No bat involved. Pitching outside, hitting in line, pitching impact in line and missing wickets. Missing wickets. Nitin, stay with your call. Missing.
Well,
Another
well
one bites
done.
the dust.
Yeah, well done, Nitin Menon. So Kohli now has none left, particularly as it was missing rather than clipping the top of the stumps. So that's the end of their reviews. Well, that'll save him having to think about it anymore. That was the issue, wasn't it? Because it did hit him just above the roll, even though he was back. And it was just sort of sliding over the corner of leg stump, wasn't it?
Well, there's your senior bowler just telling him.
Well,
Review.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it looks like Kohli goes off the opinion of the bowler. Doesn't, not just Ashwin, but Axel earlier as well. It's always risky, that, because bowlers always think it's out.
Well, I think India go quite emotionally on this. I think you have to find a way to take emotion out of these decisions. Here's Ashwin again, bowling very straight and getting some terrific ripping, spinning bounce that Foakes gets hands and bat out of the way, and he's okay.
It's amazing how it's been pretty quiet out there, hasn't it, when Siraj really has been into the bowling attack, although he's bowled quite well, and Kuldeep, but as soon as the Ashwin comes back on, things are happening.
What a ball, what a ball. Bounces past the outside edge. He's a good bowler, this guy, because he bowls so many balls in the area you don't want to have to play him. It really is that simple.
You can see why his captain wants to give him a rest just a little bit, freshen him up, because when he comes back into the attack, he's such a big part to play in this series.
Nice sweep stroke out to the man at deep backward square for a single by Ben Foakes at the end of an entertaining over from our Ashwin. Foakes has 17, Moeen has 5, and it's 98 for 6. Yes, and Gareth was explaining to us the various ways of imparting spin, some that bring more spin than others. So you don't want every ball to sort of rag square, you want some to hurry on past the outside edge. He also has the Karim ball, the over spinner, and he's a master really. He's tall, he bowls from exactly the right, he never gets past the perpendicular in his point of release, and so he causes problems.
And Virat Kohli's trying to look after him. I say he picked up a couple of injuries, didn't he, in Australia? He missed the last Test match, and he's realised, but he's going to, well, if he bowls and he bowls every Test match, he's going to pick up a 5 for him probably each game, isn't he, at some point. He's that good, Ashwin, and you only have to look at his record, especially in India. I think he's got around 260 odd wickets, hasn't he, in India on home soil. He's right up there with Anil Kumble.
With any of them, yeah. We wait now for Mohammad Siraj to steam in to Ben Foakes. Oh, yeah, lovely, beautiful, on drive. Just waited and clipped it like a real old pro. That's the old pro's side there, and he's made it count. Good boundary.
Yeah, good shot there from Ben Foakes. Played pretty well. He's been watchful, he's been patient, he's waited for the delivery. And Siraj, that's the first runs he's gone for, I think. It's slanted into Ben Foakes, off the middle of the bat, beautifully played, right underneath the eye line, straight through mid-wicket.
I've not seen a lot of Foakes bat in county cricket, but every time I've seen him play for England, he looks really accomplished. And I just wonder if, because he's so good as a wicket-keeper...
Now he works it leg side, but much squarer. And there's a guy back there, so it's just a single.
Because he's been kind of branded this pure wicketkeeper, it's actually take away from how good he is as a batsman. Because just looking at his first-class stats, played over 100 games, averaging just under 39. That's good stats.
Proper, yeah.
And he looks really he's looked really comfortable against the spinners on a really tough wicket. Seamers have come on, tucked him away nicely. Looks a real deal for me.
just thinking about Ashwin. I'll come back to my point in a minute here. And it's well played by Moeen Ali, who's showing a really straight bat to every ball that's bowled at him. They bowled straight. They've either bowled full and straight or they've bowled bounces. And so far, he's dealt with everything very well. The one point about Ashwin, above all others, it seems to me, of all modern finger spinners, he beats the bat so often. Doesn't he? I mean, he both outside and inside edge.
Well,
is it because he hurries the ball off the surface, do you think?
Well, I think he just varies his pace. He's got so many different variations. It doesn't have to spin for him to be in the game, does it? He's tall, he's clever.
That's another dead straight defence from the crease, mind you. Not great footwork, but certainly keeping nice and still is Moeen Ali, watching the ball closely, and touch wood, it's hitting the middle of the bat.
But one thing, just on what Matt said about Ben Foakes, it is amazing. I think he is falling into that trap as being known as the best wicketkeeper, and people just see him as a wicketkeeper. Oh, he can bat a bit, but he's a wicketkeeper.
Yeah, well, he can bat all right.
That's the one thing. I mean, people always go on about, is it batsman, wicketkeeper, or wicketkeeper, batsman? I kind of want to say, well, why does it have to be one or the other? Why couldn't you just be very good at both?
Well, to compare it to football, in the old days, there used to be midfielder was a midfielder. He could play anywhere, but now it's got attacking midfielder, you've got defensive midfielder. You know what I mean? It's really weird how
it started slightly.
They pigeonhole people.
I can tell you when it started, that conversation began, since we've got a delay for some reason here. It goes back to the 60s in England, certainly, when England chose Jim Parks. Here we go with Moeen Ali thinking of driving, but he didn't really get much of it, and footwork, as I say, was static, so no, nothing came of that. And they went with Jim Parks instead of the better wicket keepers at the time that were around, like J.T. Murray and Keith Andrew, just finished, but there were one or two other candidates, and Jim was a really good batsman. I mean, he could really play, and so they said he was more of a batsman wicketkeeper, picked for his batting, but he could keep, so he solved both problems. And then when they went back to J.T. Murray, they wanted the specialist wicketkeeper, so they said, well, he bats okay, so he's a bit of a wicketkeeper batsman a bit, and it sort of became a christening. And then, of course, you got Notty, who was a brilliant wicketkeeper and could be a genius batsman on his day as well. So then they were stuck with it and sort of went back to wicketkeeper batsman. But it reappeared a bit with Alex Stewart and Jack Russell. One was stronger in one department than the other. As Moeen Ali defends, there's no run from that ball. 103 for 6. I always thought Alec got slightly wrongly carded, actually. Alec caught the ball, always. He was an incredibly efficient wicketkeeper.
That was going to be my next question. At what stage do you earn the right to be good at both? So let's say Jos Buttler goes away, works really hard on his keeping as he has. He kept brilliantly in the first Test match. When does Jos become good enough for him not to be a batsman wicketkeeper? What you know what I mean? Or when does Ben Foakes become...
they're the reverse of each other, you mean? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So when does Ben Foakes not become a wicketkeeper batsman? Does he have to average 50 in Test cricket? Or what?
You're right, and it's where do they go with it? Because back in the days, just talking there, Jack Russell, Alex Stewart, you had Richard Blake, he got given a time in India, but he got Arnold Cumberland, you got Steve Rhodes, who all had opportunities, and what an egg. We kept going back and forth. We weren't quite sure what we wanted.
Now R. Ashwin again, and the ball, nice off spinner, beats the inside edge, goes onto the pad, shoots out onto the leg side, but Foakes had himself in control there, even though the ball spun a lot. Didn't seem to pose him much of a problem, and that is the beauty with having been in a while. Yeah, well, I can tell you now that they would see Foakes as being picked for his wicket keeping, and it's good that he can bat, and Buttler being picked for his batting, and it's good that he can keep. I bet that's their answer. But as for titling that cricketer, it'll always be wicket-keeper batsman. I think the wicket-keeper bit will come first, more often than not.
Yeah, and I suppose my point, just to finish on this topic, is that I would hate Ben Foakes to be left out because he's seen as a wicket-keeper batsman. Surely you pick the best player for your 11 to win the Test match.
To bat at 7.
To bat at 7. Yeah, that's the role. That is the role. Bat at 7 You need to score hundreds at 7, or be able to score hundreds at 7.
Yeah.
And be a very good
103 for 6 boys. Ashwin's bowling again. And there's another fielder coming tight on the offside. They're closing in here with Ashwin back into the attack. It's defended and kept safe by Ben Foakes, who is the great defender here. 22 from 75 balls in a partnership with Moeen Ali. Ashwin again, down the pitch he comes. Silly point, sort of moves with him. Short leg 2, just in case the ball pops up off inside edge or back and pad. There's a leg slip in there as well. Bit of encouragement for R. Ashwin. In theory, 26 to avoid the follow-on, but of course 27 I should say, but we don't think India will enforce it. R. Ashwin again then from round the wicket. It's a bit too full, and Foakes pushes nicely to mid-on, sprints down shouting yeah, 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 and Moeen Ali's with him, so they get a single. This might be harder for Moeen Ali if he comes round the wicket and hits that area that he bowled a lovely full ball actually to Ben Stokes, drew him into a little push shot that he missed, and it spun and bowled him out. So this won't be easy for Moeen Ali.
Yeah, just watching the speeds of Ashwin there as well. Seem to bowl a little bit slower to Foakes. Maybe actually encouraging to get the one, because of course he'll want to bowl at Moeen Ali, the left-hander. I just wonder if he'll up his pace here a little bit to Moeen. Really get it to turn and bounce.
Nice forward defence. He just made that look really easy. A bit of sort of David Gower about that. No problem for Moeen Ali. He settles himself again. Ashwin bowls a bit shorter this time, and it's the straight honour, and it nearly does. Well, it doesn't nearly do Moeen Ali. It looked as if it could do Moeen Ali, but he was alert to it, and he just glanced at leg side for another single. 105 for 6, a word from Darren Gough, and then Andrew McKenna will take over.
As much as the underprepared pitch that we're playing on here, it just goes to show, you know, when two batsmen have patience, they get in, they're watchful, but you can bat on here. You can get runs. You stick to your game plan. You pick your areas where you're going to score. Because this partnership now, they've been there a while. Moeen's faced 29 deliveries, Ben Foakes 77 deliveries, 105 for 6 here on TalkSport 2, and you can still bat in these conditions.
You can indeed. We saw it in the first innings with Rohit Sharma making that 161, Rahane 67, Rishabh Pant 58 not out. It's that old thing, isn't it? Once you've got yourself in, stay in. You're there. It's so much more difficult for a new player to come in and take over. So it's going to be Akshar Patel to bowl the 49th over of the innings. 3 men around the bats to Moeen Ali, a close in mid-wicket, and 3 out on the leg side boundary. Akshar Patel, left arm round to the left-handed Moeen Ali. It's edged off the keeper's gloves, and Rahane takes the catch on the rebound at slip, just above the grass. It's a brilliant, brilliant catch. Moeen Ali walks off shaking his head. Just a feather of an edge, but it's brilliant work at slip, and England are 7 down, 105 on the board.
And this is why it is so difficult to play on this wicket. You've got to cover so many bases. Akshar Patel coming round the wicket to the left-hand Moeen Ali. He's trying to cover his stumps. He's played straight. He does nothing wrong, really. But the ball just slides. Instead of turning back into him, the ball slides across him, takes the outside edge. Actually hits Rishabh Pant's left leg, left thigh. Takes quite a bit of pace off the ball, and Rahane has to dive forward. Takes it really well. Moeen Ali goes for 6 of 30 balls. England now 105 for 7 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, it's Moeen Ali, just like I said, trying to play for the spin. Just caught the outside edge of his bat onto Pant's left leg, and a diving catch from Rahane forward, and it brings Ollie Stone to the crease. I thought he had a fantastic match so far. Ollie picked up 3 wickets, bowled with pace and passion, and now he comes to the crease and he's got to somehow master the 2 spinners that are bowling at him. Good luck, Ollie. 105 for 7.
He took 3 for 47 in the Indian innings. He got 2 to complete the Indian innings earlier today, getting rid of Kuldeep caught behind, and then Mohammad Siraj caught behind 2 balls apart, but now he's out there with Willow in hand.
He can bat as well, Ollie Stone. He's scored some runs for his county. Can bat a bit. It's only his second test match. Averaging 9.50. I expect that. Well, not this game so much, but over his career. If he can get to his best score, which is 19 versus Ireland, I think he'll have played really, really well.
He can walk off happy if he does, certainly. So there's now going to be the short leg, silly point, 2 slips for Ollie Stone. The catching cover has just gone a little bit deeper and straight and wider, as Akshar Patel is going to come in, and that turned and bounced, and Ollie Stone is about 6 inches inside that one.
It's like a fifth-day pitch, isn't it? I mean, when it comes down to it, it's obviously underprepared, this pitch. I know the groundsman's not had it easy, back-to-back test matches, but really, this is day 2 of a test match.
Ollie Stone coming forward, plays this solidly, middle of the bat, turns it away, and he's underway. The second ball of his innings, he's got himself a single. England take the score up to 106 for 7. Yeah, it's doing plenty. It is doing plenty. Akash Chopra told us earlier, no chance would India enforce the follow-on. England are not there yet. They're 106 for 7. India made 329. Ben Foakes solidly forward into the offside, no run.
Definitely, I'd be very surprised. Can you imagine in another 90, 100 overs what this pitch is going to be like?
Akshar Patel, left arm around, hurrying on to Foakes, and Foakes is pushing back down the pitch. Now, out of interest, how long would India bat for? There is so much time
until
left
they're all
in this
out.
game. Well,
until they're all out, there's plenty of time left.
But that's
There's
the
no
point,
rush.
isn't it? There's a case of they've got enough runs already. Foakes is in the crease, it's hurrying on to him, he's played it down into the offside, and that ends the 49th over. 106 for 7, England here on TalkSport 2.
There's no rush. There's over 3 days to play. It's ridiculous. So they're just going to bat and bat and bat and bat until they're all out, which they probably will be, and then England will somehow have to survive. But it comes down to it. In Indian conditions, first innings, you're going to get the runs. If you don't get runs in the first innings, you're up against it. And looking at it now, and it's easy to do it now, but listen, India ended up probably getting 100 too many, didn't they? I mean, realistically, I think they needed to dismiss India on that pitch for around 240, 250, and it gives them a chance. But unfortunately, the spinners didn't bowl as well as they probably could, and we're in this situation now.
Yeah, to be fair, we were saying it yesterday as well, weren't we? I mean, it's not like we're sat here now going, oh,
exactly,
you know, we 250. I thought it was going to be a very, very good score.
Ashwin, innocent, absolute ripper. First ball of the new over. Ollie Stone, he had his hands quite high there. He would have been worried for a moment because it's gripped from about 18 inches outside of off stump, turned and bounced as it explodes through the top again.
Oh, hit him on the arm guard.
That is an incredible delivery. Ashwin goes in, bolts that one straight, clipped into the onside. Rohit Sharma takes the catch. Ollie Stone's stay at the crease was a brief one. He's walking off, shaking his head. Don't worry, Ollie Stone. Better batsmen than you have found it difficult on this pitch. England 106 for 8 as Stone goes for a single.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough for Ollie Stone walking out to bat on this wicket. We've said a lot about it. He's just tried to clip it through the middle. Ashwin's run in, put it in a good area. We heard Akash Chopra saying for the spinners, you just put it in the right area, the pitch will help you out, and that's another huge puff of dust has popped up. Ollie Stone's tried to work it into mid-wicket. He's just found the man on the drive. Stood there, Rohit Sharma who took the catch. England now 106 for 8 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, it looks like they're coming off.
It's tea.
It's tea. Much needed break for England. Been a very difficult session there. 31 overs in that session. 4 wickets for 67. Very much India's game as it is at this moment in time. England 106 for 8, Macca.
Well, yes, there you go. At lunch, 39 for 4. Of course, Dan Lawrence dismissed with the final ball before the lunch break, as it turned out. Ben Stokes was there at 8 not out. At tea, England 106 for 8. Let's take you through the scorecard of the innings, and it really has sort of picked up a pace. So, as I say, the fourth wicket had gone down on the stroke of lunch. Then Stokes was out, 5 down with the score on 52 when he was bowled by Ashwin for 18. Ollie Pope was number 6, caught down the leg side by Pant off the bowling of Mohammad Siraj for 22. That off the first ball that Siraj has sent down of the match, the 39th over. Moeen Ali 7th out, caught at slip off the bowling of Akshar. He went for 6, and then Ollie Stone, that single from 4 deliveries means that it is 106 for 8. England still trail by 223, and the bowling figures: Ishant Sharma, they've worked him hard. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 15 in the game. Ravichandran Ashwin, 18 overs and 2 deliveries, 3 maidens, 4 for 36. Akshar Patel, 16 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 30. Kuldeep Yadav, 6 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 16. Mohammad Siraj, 5 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 5.